Game 1 is the Saints at the Bengals, with a total of 54 and the Saints favored by 4.5. It's a strange week to consider the splits of Drew Brees. On one hand, this is the highest scoring game of the week, and the Bengals allow huge passing yards. On the other hand, it's Drew Brees playing outside. While there's concern that the Saints will be leading and lean on the run, there's always a ceiling in this prolific offense. The Saints made headlines this week by signing Dez Bryant, but he's not expected to play Sunday, so lead receiver Michael Thomas should continue to dominate targets. And after exploding last week, he'll be extra popular. Personally, I have doubts about Thomas going off again, with the Saints favored and the Bengals missing their best weapon. Current number 2 receiver Tre'Quan Smith only has 16 targets over his last 4 starts, but he's the deep threat versus a secondary allowing plenty of big plays. And tight end Ben Watson has been priced up on FanDuel, but remains playable on DraftKings against a defense allowing 6.5 tight end receptions per game. After consecutive huge games, Alvin Kamara's price is creeping back up, and he'll draw extra ownership this Sunday. He's clearly the better play on FanDuel, but on DraftKings there's a huge discount for Mark Ingram. And if you believe that the Saints will control the game against a hobbled Bengals team, then Ingram could see extra touches at a fraction of Kamara's ownership. It's also a strange week to consider Andy Dalton, who's expected to be trailing, at home, in a shootout, but is without his best receiver. Dalton hasn't had an exciting fantasy game since Week 4 against the Falcons, and historically Dalton has lacked upside without A.J. Green in the lineup. Which brings us to the receivers. With Green sidelined, Tyler Boyd becomes the lead pass catcher, but the sites had enough warning to price him appropriately. Between that and his high ownership, I'm not a fan of forcing Boyd in lineups. I'd rather take a shot on speedster John Ross, or if I really want to gamble, third option Alex Erickson. This week could also set up well for tight end CJ Uzomah, but that assumes he's healthy from the shoulder injury that kept him from practicing this week. Bengals running back Joe Mixon draws the NFL's best rush defense, with the game script working against him and the possibility of losing receptions to Gio Bernard. For these reasons, Mixon won't draw big ownership on Sunday, but he does average nearly 21 touches a game with heavy red zone usage, and the Bengals' 25 points have to come from somewhere.